We are seeing for lack of a better word, a fragmentation in the innovation space among financial services institutions. The focuses are very different, disparate across the Asia-Pacific region, and it goes to show how perhaps each bank or maybe each geography is starting to develop its own innovation identity of its own. They're going to develop new transformative projects that are particularly relevant to their own target markets. Right now, as the LOBs start to fragment, well, as I mentioned earlier, very dedicated propositions for very dedicated markets, especially if you're a bank working on a super regional scale. The CIO, IT is the only common denominator in the institution now, because the LOB is fragmenting. And it is the CIO and the IT suite within the organization that has the adequate visibility into all this disaggregated arms of the business, that they are actually the ones who are most well positioned to drive internal synergies, to create new synergies, or at least develop new efficiencies that should be in place in the organization. So yes, to answer your question, the CIO will, we definitely see that the CIO will be the driver, if not the leader of innovation within the organization. But note that they will not work in isolation. Ideally, they will work with the CMO and the other C-level officers as well, because no one person has all the adequate visibility anyway. If you look at previous business models, the bank has always been apart from the value chain between whatever financial transaction that they are servicing. For example, a retailer and a buyer. The bank is just an intermediary in between, passively funneling funds across these two parties. What we are seeing in the future, especially given how there's so much disintermediation from non-bank financial players. Good examples, Alibaba, Tencent, and so on, and various telcos that are very active in the mobile wallets segment in ASEAN. Banks are starting to address how they need to simply work with other verticals to develop cross-vertical collaborations that makes the best of each of these verticals' competitive advantages. So it is the bank taking advantage of the market reach of a retail or e-commerce provider. It is the same way how the banks work with telcos to create reach in the market through the proliferation of mobile apps or mobile users. A very good example, Standard Chartered Dash. They teamed up with Singtel, and they managed to, within just 6 months, reach, I think, about 600,000 acceptance points for their, what is basically a point of sale solution. This was last year's news, by the way. But these cross-industry team-ups, these are one of the key drivers, we think, that will push ASEAN banks to the forefront, but definitely not alone by themselves, but ASEAN as a whole. Now, another factor, besides cross-vertical collaboration, we think that, again, the growing maturity of the C-suite will be very important. To my point earlier, the CIO now is more empowered than ever before to actually drive innovation within the organization. And certain more savvy organizations recognize the shift in this role. And it's really up to the CIO to own up to really capture the opportunities that are being given to them, that comes with this new recognition. And finally, of course, at least in the short to medium term in ASEAN, a lot of homegrown vendors are actually developing very, very compelling propositions dedicated for the financial sector. Financial sector has very, very unique needs, stemming from various regulatory mandates, from simply how the business is structured and how varied the LOBs can be. And we're seeing a lot of R&D investments plowed in by these vendors. They are developing very compelling propositions that align with the very, very specific needs of these same geographical banks in these same geographies, right? So supply-driven innovation. In the past, we have always seen bank as being mired, and the term was mired by opposing mandates. Either is it regulatory, is it customer, is it like industry-wide standards, including fintech. And I personally believe that that's probably a wrong term, because it is really the job of the bank, or at least our job of the whole role of innovation, to actually align these disparate needs to create new value that in the end, at the heart of it, places the client or the customer at the heart of the value proposition.